What's up, you guys? It's Jono. Welcome to another episode of my Pokemon Legends Arceus request series. Today we're on request number 97, Massive Mass Outbreaks in the Mirelands. In order to unlock this request, you have to have completed request number 95 before it. Then you'll come and talk to Arazu and Mai at the hairdresser in Jubilife Village. Because it's Crimson Mirelands, Caliba is also getting involved in this request, so we do have a whole bunch of storyline characters getting together and having more adventures here in the DLC part of the game. As we go through all the requests in the Massive Mass Outbreak series of requests here in the DLC, you'll notice that we're unlocking more and more of the story of these Massive Mass Outbreaks, and along with that we'll unlock features of the Massive Mass Outbreaks as well. This particular request, we are going to learn about a lot of the features of Massive Mass Outbreaks. Of course, they're not going to tell us everything all at once, so that would be overwhelming, and that's why there's over 6 different requests in order to unlock Massive Mass Outbreaks. However, this is probably one of the most important ones, where they teach you the very most important information about Massive Mass Outbreaks, including how the berry icon works, how the star icon works, and how the Massive Mass Outbreaks will display on the map with their various icons. And we'll also get access to the Aguav berry, which is a berry that you'll feed Munchlax in order to learn which Pokemon are in which Massive Mass Outbreaks, so you can choose which ones you actually want to do. That's also very important, so there's a ton of very important features that will be unlocked and explained during this particular request, and that's why this request is a little bit longer than the other requests in the series. They're actually explaining a whole lot of stuff, but it is very similar to the previous request in that we only need to go and do 3 different Massive Mass Outbreaks. You'll investigate them until they're totally cleared off the map, and then you go back and talk to Mai and finish the request. So very similar format to the previous request, and we'll duplicate that format on for the next couple of requests as well. However, this one they do explain a bunch of features, and they introduced a new item called the Aguav berry, which we're about to get here in just a second. Of course, we've got Melly on the video. Why does Melly have to be the most annoying character in the entire game? I don't know. Is anybody out there a secret fan of Melly and just loves everything about Melly? Melly kind of reminds me of Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. Anyway, let's move on past Melly. Of course, Melly is the most annoying character in the game, but they're going to do something that is not very annoying and is actually very cool for once, and we're going to receive the Aguav berry from Melly. So apparently Melly discovered the Aguav berry and is kind enough to share it with us, and that's absolutely fantastic because we are going to use those Aguav berries to our advantage. One thing you're going to have to learn about is Aguav berry farming. So I'll give you a basic rundown of it since we're just receiving the Aguav berry for the first time. You basically can get the Aguav berries from 2 different methods. One of them is farming in Jubilife Village. You can get the special berries, and sometimes you'll get a very few amount of Aguav berries from that farming. I don't really recommend it, and I don't use it personally myself, but you can get some from that method. The other way, which is the best way, is to get them from Pokemon in Massive Mass Outbreaks that have a berry icon up above them. You definitely want to take those berry icon outbreaks every chance that you get, so you get the extra berries coming from the different Massive Mass Outbreaks, and you always have good inventory of those berries so you can feed them to Munchlax and continue to know what is spawning in the Massive Mass Outbreaks. Now, you don't have to do that. However, I mean, you definitely are going to want to do that. I mean, everybody does that. It's what I do for all my Massive Mass Outbreaks. The alternative is you would have to go look at every single question mark of every single Pokemon and manually identify which they are. So obviously nobody's going to do that. So of course the only alternative is to take those berry icon Massive Mass Outbreaks that you see on the map, which you can see on the map here. There's 2 berry icon outbreaks. We've got the Croagunk and we've got the Stunky. And we also have the star icon, which means that you will guaranteed get a second horde after that first horde, and it will either be an evolved form of the Pokemon if they have an evolution. So a Rhyhorn would go to a Rhydon, or a Rhydon would go to a Rhyperior. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the evolved form. It could be the exact same form, but they're all alphas. And very rarely, it could be the evolved form, and they're all alphas. So that's a very good opportunity. When you see those stars, you always want to take them because it could result in a whole horde of alpha Pokemon, and one of those alpha Pokemon has a very good chance to be shiny, so that's why a lot of people really love the MMOs. It added a whole lot of alpha Pokemon into the game that would have been very difficult to find otherwise, and gives you the opportunity to alpha shiny hunt way more Pokemon. So I know that's a lot to take in, and that's why I did mention earlier that this is one of those very complex requests where they teach you a whole lot of stuff, but simply to break it down, every time you do a Massive Mass Outbreak, you're going to need 5 Aguav berries to give to Munchlax. Now, if you want to get around that particular problem, you actually could just save before you give Munchlax the berries, and if you don't like the Massive Mass Outbreak and there's no Pokemon that you're actually looking for, you could soft reset and get those 5 berries back. Okay, so that's a little bit of a trick if you want to maximize your efficiency with your Aguav berries. So the other thing that we learned is you can get a ton of Aguav berries from the icon that has the berry on the map when you do Massive Mass Outbreaks. Now you would think that it would be an Aguav berry icon on the map, but it's actually not an Aguav berry. It just looks like a pear or something. But when you see that berry, it means every time you catch those Pokemon or defeat those Pokemon, they will drop an Aguav berry. However, if they run away from you, like if you scare them off like they're skittish Pokemon and you just frighten them away without encountering them, they will not drop a berry. So make sure you catch them, especially because those skittish Pokemon, you can hit them with a Pokeball. They won't deflect it in any way, so you can just run up on them and hit them with an Ultra Ball or whatever you want to use for a ball, and then you'll catch them and get the 1 Aguav berry. And if they're not skittish Pokemon, then you may have to battle them and knock them out, and you get the 1 berry after you knock them out. So once we get past Aguav berries, then you also have the star icon, and that's the third thing that we learned during this video. If there's a star icon, then it guarantees that you'll get a second horde of Pokemon after the first horde of Pokemon, and the second horde will be better. And they also have boosted shiny odds, so you want to definitely take those star ones just in case you're shiny hunting something that's an evolved form like a Kleavor or an Ursaluna. Some of those really cool Pokemon that came out do actually spawn in these Massive Mass Outbreaks in second hordes only. So you do have a really good chance to find some extremely rare Pokemon that would be extremely hard to find otherwise. So now that we unlocked all those features, we're basically back in story mode. We also had to do those 3 Massive Mass Outbreaks, which you saw my footage was kind of sped up. I sped through that just to save you guys the time of having to watch it. Those can take a really long time depending on which Pokemon you go for, so I do recommend trying to find skittish Pokemon that are a little bit easier to catch to get through this request as fast as possible. But you could also just go shiny hunt any different Pokemon that you want. Since you can see what Pokemon are spawning now, you'll definitely be able to pick and choose which Massive Mass Outbreaks you want to take and get the best shiny hunting odds for those Pokemon. So it's actually a really good opportunity when you're doing these requests to go and get some shiny hunting done. Alright everybody, that's going to be it for this episode. You do get a really good reward, which is 20 apricorns, 30 black tumblestones, and 30 iron chunks. Of course, those are crafting materials for Pokeballs. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you found this episode useful and informative. Thank you to all of my amazing subscribers, and peace!